I'm instantly regretting coming outside. Just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Hey, gang. Um, one of the one of the biggest one of the biggest mistakes, one of the biggest mistakes, and it's an honest mistake. All right, it is a mistake, uh, but it's within the realm of spiritual growth. So it's yes, it's a mistake, and it is a big mistake if you don't align. I'm gonna explain. If you don't align in timely fashion, according to the revelations of the Spirit, as you grow in the beginning of you, in the beginning of you being born again. This is a honest mistake that a lot of us, if not all of us, make. Okay, we make the mistake that we we're super excited. Okay, forget about the mistake. We're super excited, right? We're super excited, and we have accepted Christ. This is a whole new. We know internally and in our spirit, way deep down inside, we know that we're treading new ground. We feel it in our core. We have accepted Christ, the Messiah sacrifice, and and deep down in our core, we know that we have started. There's something new. We're treading a new ground. We're we're walking a new ground now, right? And we're excited. We're excited about that, and it's a level of excitement that climbs and climbs. This is in the beginning, okay? Being born again climbs and climbs as the Spirit of the Father starts to reveal to you things that you never uh, would have seen before, would have noticed before, because now the eye of the Spirit awakens your, um, for the lack of a better term, your third eye. It awakens your spirit. Your spirit is awakened now to the spiritual realm, and you start to see things that you didn't see before, things you didn't notice before, and it's very exciting, and you know that you're tapping into something special. You know it in the core. It's something that your being has never experienced before. You have never experienced this level of revelation, this level of enlightenment, you know, in the sense of just positive awakening, to something greater than yourself, and something greater uh, than what you were currently aware of. It's very exciting, very exciting, and 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 it's I guess you could relate this to like a honeymoon phase, you know, for lack of a better term. We can label it as, let's just say, uh, for the sake of understanding what's going on here, uh, honeymoon phase. The beginning stages of the puppy love. Uh, from our very infant to toddler phase in spirit. You know, and we're super excited, and the father starts to download things again, things that are exciting, because we have not ever we would have never seen this information we that's presented to us, that we right in front of our eyes. Okay, we would have never came to the realization of the reality that's right in front of us, if it wasn't for the Spirit to start to reveal the scales, reveal the veils. in the spiritual realm for us to see, because my people perish for lack of knowledge, and you already know. So we're excited, right? And we go from the infant phase. We go from the infant phase, born again infant phase, to the toddler phase. Now, in that toddler phase, okay, uh, uh, in our spiritual growth, spiritual maturity, uh, that's when we uh, that's when we start to learn how to speak, right? We learn how to use words. We can communicate now. We can let daddy know when we're hungry and when we're thirsty, and hey, I poop my pants, you know, and it's all beautiful because it's like instant. It's just instant response. It's instant response, right? Like difference between drinking milk and eating steaks, right? Different response automatically to ooh, we poop our pants, the instant response, because our caretaker, the creator, father, our caretaker knows that this is going to happen. This is just how it works. You don't know any better. You still haven't learned how to be responsible for your bowel movement. So that's just how it goes. You're not even in the potty stage. Okay, so we go from there to from that toddler stage to the beginning of like the young, uh, to a child, to the child, the 5 through let's say 5 through 10 years old, type of childhood, children. And this is a stage where, or maybe even 12, between, yeah, between, and it starts a little earlier and a little later for some folks. Okay, it's just an approximate. It's not a, you know okay. So it could be 5 or 7 years old to like 10 and 12. Between 5 and 12 years old, somewhere around there. It's when like you come to this phase that I'm going to talk about next. So then, like, you come to this phase as a child already, where you already know you're already potty trained. You know not to poop on yourself, even though every once in a while you step into some mud purposely, because you know you thought it'd be fun, and you keep learning the same lesson that maybe you shouldn't step in that muddle wow, uh, puddle of mud, because you're gonna get your pretty shoes all dirty in the walk that you have been destined to walk, and when you deviate from the path that you're supposed to be walking in, you get your shoes dirty a little bit, and that's a lesson that you continue to learn, and down the line, the father continues to deal with you with those deviations, but you're in that childhood stage, and in that childhood stage you're already potty trained. You already know better for the most part. uh you you have no shadow of a doubt that that you're who you are, in the sense of in the walk with the father. Like, you know that there's purpose. You may not know what that purpose entails. You may not know exactly the details of what it's going to look like for you to be, um, for the future, for that, uh, for the reality that it is, you walking with the father. But you know that you're destined to walk with the father, and you know that there's great things up ahead of you, or you have this understanding. You don't know what it looks like, but you have this understanding, right? And you hold dear all the divine information that you have already attained, which makes you feel like you have, oof, man, you are bounds ahead of the world that is blinded. That is, the eyes are blinded by the scales of of the prince of darkness, or the prince of this world. And so you feel like you're grandiose to a certain extent. You're like, wow, yeah, and because you're not all the way there yet, your ego hasn't been completely worked on yet. There's a lot of uh uh parts of your Adamic nature that has not matured yet, because remember, you're in the childhood stage. Okay, you think you're smart, it's so relevant. You think you're so smart, and you want to challenge your parents, and like I remember my oldest once, uh I forget how old he was, maybe 10 or 11, and I was in better shape back then. I was I didn't feel like 80 years old when I woke up in the morning. um and he and I remember we used to spend a lot of time, and I used to take him to the parks, nearby, parks, like nice big parks with there was this big hill. After school, I used to take him, and we used to run and ride the bicycle down the hill, and we had a lot of fun, me and my oldest. And and one of those days that we were in the park, he looks at me and he goes, "Reno, I think I can beat you in a foot race. I can beat you. I can beat you running." And I was like, me certain of myself at that time, I was like, I know I could move, and I was like, you can't beat me in a race. He was close though. He was very confident because he had a good reason to. He did have a great ability. He was already pretty strong. His legs were strong, and he had already some length on him where he could move. He could move. He just wasn't faster than me. And we went. We went. We went for it. I was like, all right, okay. You think you can beat me? All right. And we did a hypothetical bet. I forgot what it was. I think we did a bet or some kind, something silly. Of course, I'm not gonna charge my son for anything, right? But we went, we did the race, and he was there. He was there with me. He was like there with me for a good while, to the point where I was like, oh, I gotta step on it a little bit. And I did, and I eventually left him behind, and with stuff. I go back, and he comes up to me, and he's like, "Oh, okay, wow, yeah, you are fast, and whatever." And then like that brought that brought a new reality, new level of understanding, a new level of knowledge, a new level of understanding, uh, uh, in his brain, in his mind. And he understood, okay, my old man, I'm not ready to pass my old man yet. So that's the stage, right? That childhood stage where we know that we have something good, we know we have something special, and we have divine revelation, to some extent, and it makes us feel grandiose to a certain extent, but we're not quite there yet, and we're never going to be quite there yet. But for the sake of for the sake of explaining what I'm trying to explain, so that toddler space, that's something that we all go through. I'm sorry, childhood phase is something that we all go through, and we find ourselves where it's an honest mistake, because it's part of our development. It's part of our development. uh, this is why when you mature and you become more adult in spirit, and you're more matured in spirit, you recognize the phases, and you know where people are at. After a little while of just interacting, you're like, okay, I see where you're at. And it's such a different thing. It's If people confuse this, especially these toddlers, and these childhood, um, uh, journers, uh, they confuse their physical ability and their physical logic on this world. Oh, I work for the government. Oh, I was a teacher on Harvard. Oh, I was this and that and the other, and they confuse their physical terrestrial abilities and knowledge they have gained for spiritual knowledge. And that's a huge one. That's part of that mistake. So then when they come to a little bit of revelation, you know from the divine, from the spirit of the Father, uh, they start to blur those lines, because they think that they were already grandiose, and they feel. And again, your ego has not been completely worked on yet. you know you're going from a phase of like the Father's cleaning your butt, and changing your diaper, uh, and drinking milk, and maybe a oatmeal, and things that are easy to chew on, swallow, nutritious nonetheless, will help you grow. But you're going from that to, oh, I gotta go potty right now because I'm gonna crap my pants, and we're not doing that anymore, you know. And oh yeah, now I'm eating chicken and steak, and I gotta use my teeth now. I got teeth now, and I gotta use my teeth and work for my food. I can't just swallow my food, right? So it's like that's what I'm talking about. That's it. That's the the phase that we find ourselves in. And right there, that's it's a that's a spot, that's a part, a space where a lot of people get stuck. I don't want to say indefinitely, but a lot of people get stuck in that phase, in that childhood phase, uh, due to those complexities, because the enemy will grab everything that is an uncertainty. He will grab anything that you have no knowledge of in order to try to keep you. You know, this is why us being us keeping the Father number one beyond our logic and understanding of anything is the most important thing, because it is only by His Spirit, that we are able to surpass all of the stages that we come to in our walk with the Father through Christ. And this is the big mistake that we make. It's an honest mistake, and it's a phase that a lot of us get stuck in for a long period of time, unfortunately. And the longer you the longer you ignore the longer you ignore the actual, I want to say, corrections. The like the Spirit will come to you, and tell you, and you start to, like, you let your ego get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you start to ignore the corrections of the Spirit, because you realize that where the Spirit's trying to correct you, it's going to jeopardize what your ego has built. You see what I mean? And the longer you stay stuck there, the more chaos abounds. The more you are setting the stage for hurting people around you, people that you might have cared about, people that you care about, uh, uh, hurting folks that the Father Himself will bring to you for His purpose and His will, uh, deviating folks, that haven't even been close enough to you, but have a window to your life in one shape or another, maybe a coworker, somebody that you interact at a distance with. You are jeopardizing basically the testimony of Yah in your life at that point. That's where uh, you fall into that stage where this could happen if you don't quickly learn, or ever learn, that, hey, you need to continue to submit the same level of humility, uh, the same humble heart that you had in the very stages of infancy, of being born again. It's the same thing that will continue to carry you through in all of the stages of your walk through Christ with the Father. Okay? That same level of humility that you had when you were born again, okay? I want to say it again. I want you to understand what's going on here. That same heart, that same place that you found yourself in the Spirit, when you dropped everything and you said, everything I've done is crap. Everything I've done, because how dare we? You see, that's the child. That's the child in us, that child, that egotistic child, how dare we uh, think that we have that we know more than Yah. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's the place where we need to learn. We need to learn that we're never gonna be, you know, we're never gonna be grandiose to the level of understanding Yah entirely. That's never gonna happen. And it's foolish for us to cast our judgment on anybody that we recognize that has had a relationship with the Father, and they're in their own path and their own level of understanding. It is foolish for us to cast our egotistic um, our egotistic approach at the knowledge that we have already received from the Creator, uh, you know, and cast a judgment against those that that we may perceive that and that's us perceiving, because we only see what the Spirit shows us. We truly don't see. There's a lot of angles from individuals that, and I have learned this lesson. I've learned this lesson. That's why I don't get mad. I mean, your flesh is always going to jump. When somebody steps on your toes, your flesh is always going to jump. But I don't stay mad at the because I know better. I know better because I've been there, and I already surpassed that stage to a degree. I surpassed this. There's always going to be another one. But I've already surpassed that stage of childhood where I'm like so excited to tell folks everything that I know, and get mad when they don't get it. You know. So yeah, I just wanted to come out here real quick and and spark that little light in your brain, on that subject. Um, it's an honest mistake. It's an honest mistake. What we need to do is we need to realize what stage of spiritual growth we're in with the Father. We need to recognize what stage uh, we are in our walk with the Father, and understand that the same heart that got us to opening the door to Christ is the same heart that's going to bring us into our next level, in our next uh, level of understanding, our next level of wisdom, of knowledge from the divine. Okay, it's that same heart. You have to drop it all down, because you're silly rabbit. There's no way that we can sit here and say that we are uh, more knowledgeable than Yah. Yah has everything under control. He knows everyone's faults and everyone's strengths. And we're not called to be separate. We're called to be the body of Christ, the bride of Christ. Okay? We're called to be unified. The only way that we can be unified through all of the adversities and all of the wrongful downloads that we have received from childhood by the enemy is by centering ourselves solely in the love of our Creator. And for God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, so that whoever might believe in him may not perish but have everlasting life. Okay? So we have to learn how to abide in that love constantly and not forget. But if we start putting things of this world in the middle, in the way, we start to lose hearing of the Spirit. We start to go deaf. Can't hear what the Father's trying to tell us, because we keep pushing him off. And after a while of you pushing the Spirit off enough, he'll just stay silent, and he'll just wait. He'll stay silent. Ask me how I know. He'll stay silent, and he'll step back and be like, okay, go ahead, do what you got to do. And then you find yourself in a hole where you're like, how did I get here? How did this happen? And And then you start remembering the only thing that works, which is your humble heart in front of the Creator. And you put that into practice. And even then, you get to that point, that part that I've mentioned before, of me understanding what Christ felt like when he was on that cross and he said, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? Because you will pray and he won't answer. And you'll feel like he allowed me to feel just a very small speck of this, because I truly believe that complete separation, our beings don't understand how dependent we are on the breath of life of the Creator. I don't know if you guys are catching what I'm saying. There's no way that without his grace we even exist. Okay, but he allowed me to feel just a very minute speck of the absence of his presence in my life. And when I tell you that, that is the scariest thing that I've ever experienced. I can imagine a lot of scary things, and I've experienced some myself. And not having the Father, just a little bit of his presence to acknowledge your state of being, it's the scariest thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And I was ecstatic when he answered, and he answered with a command. It's like, and he wasn't, and it was like a father that's fed up, like a father that's fed up, like a parent that's fed up and like tired of telling you, you know. It could be a preteen, like a father and a preteen. And I've been telling you not to go with those folks. I've been telling you not to do that. I've been telling you not to waste your time with that and with those individuals and in those situations. And just a reason why I'm telling you, I was like, all right, you got yourself in that hole, and then they come crawling back, And this is our terrestrial. This is our terrestrial uh, parents, because the parable of the prodigal son, the father is ecstatic. The father is ecstatic that you come back to him. But I'm talking about the in between phases, you know. And I experienced that. The father was being silent for a bit, and it scared the crap out of me. So, um, I I just want to I implore you, if you find yourself in the situation where you think that you're too grandiose for Yah. It happens, bro. It happens. Yeah, it happens. Let's be real, right? Let's be real. Let's be real. We do stupid things like this. Okay, I know. I know. You think about it for a little bit, and you're like, yeah, but no, we do dumb stuff like this. We think that we are wiser than God sometimes, and we're like, no, we're gonna do it our way, because again, we are used to what's familiar to us, and our ways of doing it. We're comfortable in our own logic and the muscles we've been working on, but the Spirit always has you work on something new, because you're not working by power or by might, by power or might. You're working through His Spirit. It's by His Spirit, says the Lord. It's a different battleground. And that is what the Father has me here to convey, to relate to you, whoever you are, is humble. Humble yourself, find yourself back in that humble heart, that honeymoon stage, that puppy love stage, where all you can do, all you know how to do, even though you think you can do, no, all you can do is humble yourself at the feet of the Master, at the feet of the Messiah. Humble yourself, drop everything else. And when you do that long enough, you'll see that the Father and the Spirit starts to talk to you again. The Spirit starts to talk to you again and starts to realign things and starts to show you the mistakes you made, because you probably don't even see the severity or the depth of the mistakes that you made and the ripple effects you cause. because of your disobedience. Okay, so bless you, whoever's watching. I mean, everybody, whoever's watching this. I I only come here. I come here with a pure heart. Okay, I'm coming here with a pure heart. I'm not asking anybody for anything. I'm only imploring you to be one with your Creator and put your Messiah first. Put the kingdom of heaven first above everything. And for some of us, there's for some, because we have let things ride for a while, once we get to that point of humility, of we humble our hearts and we start to realign, the Spirit of the Father may reveal things to you in your own personal life that are going to be tough decisions to make. They're going to, it may be your spouse. Your spouse may be a hindrance. It may be other family members. It may be that business that you thought was something that you were doing for Yah, for God. It could be a lot of things that you have, that your flesh, your rich young ruler, has been attached to and has known as normality. And the Spirit of the Father might start realigning those things and telling you, okay, you're here now. Okay, this is what you need to do. You need to stop that, cut that off, and tell them to F off in a loving way. You need to tell them that, hey, can't do it like that anymore because I put the Father's will over our will first. Okay. And that's when you need to be tough. That's when you're tough. That's when you're brave. When the Spirit tells you to do things that man don't understand. Okay. So bless you guys. I could probably say more about this, but I I will. I mean, all of the message the Father's having to convey is all related. It's all related. It's all getting you there. So bless you guys, and I feel I feel I feel right now to say, if you have a question that I may answer, that I can answer, uh, if you feel an honest question, I'm not talking about anybody else that might come on here and try to. I'm not debating the word of Yah with anybody. If you have a true humble-hearted question, that will benefit you, that you feel that you've been asking, uh, that will benefit you in your walk with the Father, and the Father and the Father gives me the permission to answer. I want to say, put it in the put it in the comments, and I'll make a video, and whatever the Father reveals to me, to respond with. So bless you guys. I desire nothing but the Father's. Here you go. You ready? I desire nothing but the Father's will for your life and the life of those you love. In the name of the Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Bless you.